We have Kristen how about you say it? We have Kristen.
No, Keely Gelineau. Keely Gelineau.
So we have Keely Gelineau with us. I'm not going to edit that because I want to show exactly why I need to write down everybody's name in front of me. So Keely,
Yes.
who I'm going to call Kristen from now on, how did you get into this?
Get into acting?
Yeah.
Well, when I was 8 years old,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be an actress when I grew up. And so I would study the SAG manual. I took acting classes. I did a few plays as a kid. But everybody kind of told me it wasn't a viable career. Like it wasn't a real job. So I let time pass, and I really didn't do anything with it. Locally, if somebody needed someone to be in a commercial, I'd always raise my hand. But work-wise, I really didn't pursue it as a career. Then almost 3 years ago, I saw an agency was trying to cast a diaper commercial or something, and
Okay.
not for me. No,
I understand.
But I had a daughter
You
who
wouldn't
was
be
a
convincing
baby.
in a diaper commercial
I
anyway.
know. I didn't get the role, but I had my daughter, and I tried submitting her for it, and I just kind of clicked with the agent, and the agent's like, "Well, have you ever considered it?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I've considered it," and so I just got in touch with the right people. Not much happened when I first initially met with them. But they really liked my personality, and they're like, "Oh, I think you're worth developing." I wouldn't say they discovered me or anything, but I put in a lot of hard work. I took more acting classes, and they actually wanted to market me as a model. So I took a lot of modeling classes. My agent at the time ended up sending me to New York. They're like, "I really think you have a lot of potential." So they trained me for about 6-8 months, and then we went to New York together. And when I was in New York, I went to a modeling and acting convention called IMTA. It's the International Model and Talent Association.
I've been there.
Have you really?
Kidding.
Oh, they actually have 2 a year.
Thank
one in
you
New
for
York.
believing that I might have gone there.
I believe.
I appreciate
You're
that.
going to go there with your voiceover stuff.
Okay,
I know
thank
it.
you.
We'll
I was
go
gonna
together.
Say, wow, yeah.
I'll bring you to New
I
York.
could convince
this
him with my looks. But anyway, so you went to the convention.
So, yeah, I went to the convention where you meet 200 agents worldwide. They're all in the industry. It's actually a really small industry. There's about 200 major agents all throughout the entire world. So my mother agent, they call that, who first finds you and develops you, they bring you to New York or LA to these conventions. And I met all the agents that I needed to meet. I had 9 that wanted to work with me. And at the time where I was in my life, I have kids in Duluth. At the time, I also had a sick boyfriend, and I couldn't leave the Midwest. So I decided I was just going to stay here and try to, make things work from here. But that's how I got into it. So I diaper commercial, didn't get the role, but met the right people, and then they took the time, and I don't think I give myself enough credit. I really worked hard.
And that's kind of the key to it is if you want it, you're going to make the sacrifices.
Completely. So, I did meet the right people, but anybody can meet the right people if you work
And you're not going to be around long either. If you don't have the talent, you know what I mean? If you don't have the talent, you're not going to be around long.
Completely. Yes.
So when you started, when you were 8, what was the first thing you did? What was it that made you get the bug?
Oh my God. I was a doo-wop girl in the school play. I went to Woodland Middle School.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what it was called. Little Luncheonette of Terror or something. I can't remember. But yeah, it was my very first play that I ever did.
And that's what made you kind of go, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I think I had so much fun being in that I finally convinced my parents to let me take acting classes down at the Duluth Playhouse.
Okay.
So,
did you do anything for the Playhouse then?
No, I didn't. It's funny because as much as I enjoyed acting, I wasn't a theater person.
It's a whole different ball of wax, isn't
It is.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think I could go back and do theater.
And when you hear some of these actors that say, I'm going to do Broadway for a little bit and take a break from my movie career, to me, it says, A, they're probably very talented.
True.
Or B, they're not getting any jobs. Maybe a little bit of
True.
both.
Well,
but I think that it's a whole different style.
Completely. And you have to know what your talent is. You know, and in the talent industry, that can span many different avenues. But Broadway, man, you got to be able to sing. You have to be able to project and perform, and doing something live versus scripted. That's a whole nother.
Because you don't know, like when you're in the movie. I'm assuming because all my acting is all like extra kind of stuff.
Sure. I'm
assuming that when you're in the movies, you can do a scene and they are anticipating the laughs or anticipating the
oh yeah, completely. And what's so different about like theater is you have to have all of your lines memorized for 2 hours worth of work. You know, a movie isn't even 2 hours, but we break down scenes over, a month of filming. So when I'm going to work, I know I have, 3 to 5 scenes. I memorize those lines. I don't have to memorize the whole entire script.
Yeah.
I only memorize little pieces and kind of perfect that versus having to have that whole performance down.
And it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It really is. For a while, I did modeling before I did acting. Well, and I still kind of do both. But I used to prefer modeling because you show up, you work for an hour or two, you're done. My very first feature film that I worked on, I was an extra.
Which was?
I had a bloody good time in House Harker.
Okay.
And it's funny because we filmed it in 2014 and it's just about to come out now. So it's really cool to see how long a production takes to go from pre-production, production to, theaters and releases.
I worked on a film.
Yes.
And I know, being one of the major people in the film, why it takes so long. And it has nothing to do with like, oh, we got to cut this down because this actor didn't do that, or we got to do the lines over. Sometimes one of the writers of the song that you want and have to have in that film is holding out. And so you got to wait because if you want that song, you got to,
True.
Going after the contracts for the songs and having to make sure all the actors that worked on the film are all signed, and there's a lot of extra stuff. I know the person that made this film didn't anticipate all that.
Yeah. Well, my joke always is what takes so long is batteries always die. So whenever I'm on set, I swear, we'll be all set up for the scene and then a light will go out. And they're like, oh, batteries, where are the batteries? So like that's what I blame, those 15, 17-hour days on is lack of charged batteries. But yeah, there's a lot. And I remember my first big TV show was In an Instant. I was an extra on that as well. And what took so long is building the set in between the scenes. This huge production was set up for, one scene, and then they completely have to break it all down because it's all filmed on location. And especially if it's outdoors, it's the set changes. So we're in back, playing cards or twiddling our thumbs, making conversation because it's a lot of just sit around and wait. And
it's a team effort. A lot of people think it's just the actor shows up and does the part, but there's the guys that have to tape everything down and get the mics in the right place. And ladies, I don't mean to say just guys do the jobs, but there are people that have to do setting up the buildings, getting the thing, setting up the shot, and how are we going to take the shot from here to there so that it looks good. And there's so much involved in film, it seems like.
Very much. And depending on the budget and the production company, the size of the production company, sometimes we actors are also in there getting our, elbows dirty and helping shift stuff around and, building the set. That's not too common, but
right.
For overachievers, we like to help.
And I'm glad you told that story because I think a lot of people that want to be actors just think, well, I just have to show up and look good. And it's not always that way. You're going to work on some things where you got to pull out a shovel and, wipe yourself off and get in the scene later and that sort of thing.
And that's one thing that I hear from people. I do a lot of like counseling or mentoring for people who are just breaking into the industry, because there's so many stigmas around it. People don't realize how much work and time and investment you have to put into it as a career. It's not glamorous. I mean, we all hope to get to the point where it's absolutely glamorous, and I have a nanny to bring my kids on set with me. But it's a lot of hard work. You depending on, you're probably not going to jump into these, multi-million-dollar feature films. You're probably going to start working on some, lower budget, which is still 1.5 million, or lower.
Yeah.
But where you're going to put in a lot more work than what you think. Only once did I have someone holding an umbrella for me. And I felt like a total diva at that point in time. But I only got paid $150 that day. So, it's not like it's not glamorous.
It's not
right
what
off
you
the
think
bat.
it is right away. In other
Exactly.
words, a friend of mine that's an actor in New York said, you have to start at the facts of life to get to the, just like Clooney did, everybody's got to start somewhere. And I'm sure it took a few years before he even got that gig and thought that was, oh my God, I made it. I'm on Facts of Life.
Completely. It's a ton of work for sure.
What is the biggest person you've worked with so far?
Myself. I haven't been on set with any celebrities yet.
Okay.
Not yet. And I do, which I mentioned to you before, I do have a couple of really, really huge ones coming. I can't mention their names, though, unfortunately.
We share one of those.
What?
I'm not going to mention any names either, but you mentioned one to me, and
I did.
We share that person.
Really?
So when you can mention their name, I'm going to go crazy on there, and I'm going to bug you like
great.
crazy.
Okay, well, hopefully, later on this year, for sure, I'll be able to. And I'm so excited because she is the reason I got into acting. When I was 8 years old, my mom told me, don't tell her this on set. You're going to make her feel old. But when I was 8 years old, I used to, my parents were big snowmobilers, and I'd be, daydreaming, being pulled behind in this is what we did. But I'd have my scarf over my head and my big sunglasses on, and I'd be like waving, pretending I was this woman. And so she has always been an inspiration, and I can't believe I get to work with her. So.
Like I said, I'm going to be bugging you a lot. When I hear that this happens and you're finally announcing that you're working with this person. So
it sounds like I get to come back.
Yes. Well, if nothing else, you're going to be going, Chris Allen's texting me again. Here, will you take this and talk to him?
I'll have my people.
I'm totally excited for you because I know when I meet some of my idols in the radio business or the music business, there's that part of you that wants to go up and go, oh my God, when I was 8 years old, there's what I did, and I did this because of you, and you think that sounds great, but to them, I know with me, I hear a lot of listeners that well, I listened to you when I was a little girl, now my daughter does, and I'm like, oh, that means I'm old.
Yes.
But I think too, a lot of I got to meet Paul Stanley of Kiss, and Kiss were huge idols of mine when I was a kid, and so I met him in a record store. I was working for Tower Records, and I waited on him and helped him find everything, and then suggested some things, and totally was professional with him. But I had to ring him up, and that's when I said, okay, and I snuck a CD on the counter for him and a record, and I said, would you mind signing this? I just have to tell you what a huge fan I am of yours, and how when I was a kid, you were my escape, and he could have really gone, yeah, sure. Yeah. But he says, you know what? It's always nice to hear that. And he said, sometimes you forget when you're hearing from the critics and people pan your last record that there are people in this world that are inspired by what you do, and that's why I do this. And he goes, I would totally love to sign whatever you got. And he couldn't have been nicer. And it's always great when you meet an idol of yours and he's exactly the way, or she is exactly the way you want them to be.
Yes, completely.
So I hope for the best, and however you present yourself is how you present yourself.
Yes.
But that's so cool. I think that's so cool when you get to meet somebody that you idolize, you know?
Completely. I have got to meet a few celebrities. I don't know if people would know who they are.
Try us. Bring them on. Bring them on.
Mostly not, let's see, not actors, but I did a lot of work in the music industry. I'm not a musician. I don't work in the music
Now you're
industry.
On my side of the carpet,
yes.
So okay.
But when I was doing more modeling, I did like some music videos and things. And so I have met a lot of people. And actually,
I got to write this down so I can go YouTube them.
No.
There's Keely, oh my God.
I'm trying to.
Or should I say, there's Kristen, oh my God.
Oh, and actually, yeah, I do have a couple of music videos out. I mean, nobody amazing, but
you can tell me later so that nobody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody will stop watching this video and go, okay, I got to check this out.
True.
You can tell us who you've
actually,
met.
on Sunday, I shot a music video down in Chicago for my buddy Jimmy Sarr. I can say his name on the radio.
Okay.
He's said mine on the radio too, so
nice.
I think it's only fair. And he's a country music artist. So last November, we did shoot a music video for his song, When the Whiskey Gets Me.
Okay.
And it hasn't been released yet. And actually, I have to go back down and we have to reshoot some scenes because they're a little too racy for television.
Okay.
But so we're going to do that and hopefully it'll be released soon. But he's had a lot of interest from a lot of major players over that song.
I even know his name. So you know that he's got some interest going on.
Yeah, he does. He's heading down to CMA Fest right now to play down there. So.
Oh wow! Well, then he's getting close. Then
he's great.
You don't play that unless you're somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he's doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, because I've been down there before when the Mavericks showcased. I don't know if you remember them. Now they're like old school. But when I was down at CMA Fest, the Mavericks were kind of new, and then there was this guy named Garth Brooks. I don't know if anybody has heard that name.
Yeah.
He was kind of new. In fact, I'll tell you my Garth story. My roommate was playing an artist night at the Bluebird Cafe, which is kind of where you get discovered. There's an artist night, and you have to try out a year to a year and a half in advance. So my roommate tried out. He made it. They gave him a night. Here's your night. So he was first. There was a guy that was second. And then this third guy gets up, and he's dressed like George Strait, and he's constantly, George Strait's my favorite. And we're just thinking, God, this guy's cheesy. He's so cheesy. There's already a George Strait. And we were laughing, and we decided not to be rude, so we got up and laughed. And we're laughing in the car all the way home. Who's that guy think he is? Oh, my God. 8 months later, I'm putting out his CD.
Oh,
and I went, oh, my God, that's the guy we laughed at.
Oh, that's got to be kind of cool to see.
Yeah. So then it was a few months later when it was called Fanfare. Now it's called CMA Fest. We had the idea of, hey, look, we're all musicians. We all have enough stuff. We could bring in all of our equipment and get these new artists to come and play for us. So they said, we'd like to send you 3, Susie Boggess, Garth Brooks, and Pirates of the Mississippi. And we were like, and I said, oh, Garth Brooks, really? Oh, okay. So he came in, and I was talking to him, did you play this? Oh, yeah, that first guy was really good. I said, that was my roommate.
Oh, wow.
So he gets out, and he sings, and we're like, oh, sounds like every other country artist. And then he told the story of how he got the dance and played the dance for us. And we were like, wow, this guy's pretty good. And he says, we're working on our new album. We got a new song for you. Want to hear it? And we were like, yeah. He goes, it's called Friends in Low Places.
No way.
We were like, wow, this guy's going to make it. He's going to be huge because that song was so good. So now I've vowed that the next artist I laugh at, I'm going to sign on the spot.
Yeah.
And say, I want to be your manager or whatever because you're going to make it.
Yep. That's something that I find so cool about the whole entertainment industry, whether it be, actors, musicians, or models, who I'm, rubbing elbows with right now, and we're all growing at the same time. They're the ones that are going to be amazing. And I also write as well. So my passion is writing.
Right, as in movies? Or
no, I will get there, but
okay.
No, I do a lot of inspirational writing.
Okay.
And so I went to Maui a couple years ago, and I met Dr. Wayne Dyer. That's probably my biggest celebrity.
Okay.
Who is absolutely amazing in that world. Well, I made tons of friends who are these amazing spiritual authors. And my girlfriend, Kathy Bird, just got a book deal for The Boy Who Knew Too Much. And she was just on The Doctors. Like,
wow.
I think she was on Oprah. I know I saw pictures of her and Oprah. I don't want to say she was on it.
You can say it.
Okay, she was on Oprah. Yeah, maybe. But to be able to see all these people who, they're just your friends. But, in trickling in over the years, they are the ones who are going out there and doing amazing things. So I'm looking at my fellow actors on set going, man, like you can pick them out of a crowd. Like literally, you can tell. And my friends who are musicians, same thing. Like they've got the passion, they've got the talent, they've got the personality. And those are all the people that you're going to see in the next few years.
Yeah.
So,
no
really cool.
No doubt at all. I was very lucky to be in Nashville in the early 90s when everybody started to make it. Alan Jackson, we used to go see at the Bluebird, and he was just this guy that was writing songs on napkins. And so many other artists, Travis Tritt. I mean, now they're old artists, but I was there when they were kind of planting the seeds and getting going. And Brooks and Dunn, they had just put Brooks and Dunn together and said, yeah, we got these two writers. And we took Kix Brooks already had a career, and we put him with Ronnie Dunn. We're going to see how that works, and then you start seeing, man, these guys are the biggest thing to hit country.
Well, one of my friends, Aaron Carter, he's been here a few times.
Yes,
I would sit in his hotel room with him when he was writing his music, and now he has a new album coming out, and now I'm starting to hear it on the radio, and I'm like, I remember when he was writing that song, and one of my favorite songs is called Sooner or Later, and it just came out on the radio. And I was there when he was, tinkering around on his he had this little tiny keyboard, and I'm like, wow, that's my buddy. Like, good job. So,
and it's funny because if I can count you and me in your company, when you see that, we get to see how it started and where it went to and how it changed, and then finally the finished product. And you know how much work went into it and everything.
Completely.
So let's get back to you.
Yes.
So you are now part of a new TV show, and that's kind of what got me back to you and writing to you to get it on the air.
Yes.
Top Gun is putting out Top Gun 2 this year, so that's back in the talk. You're sort of doing that, but it's a different slant on it.
We kind of are. And I wish I could say more about the whole Top Gun thing.
I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say what's in your video so that I don't say too much either.
Yes. So Wing Girl is a new TV show. It was actually made to be a movie. And they decided to put it out as a TV show to kind of get to the market before Top Gun 2 comes out, because there hasn't been anything with fighter pilots in a really long time. I think there was one show, I think
Independence Day is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but it didn't focus on the pilots,
right.
I guess. So, and this focuses on females, which is really cool. And actually, when you'll see the show, we focus on a lot of markets that will be able to catch attention. One of the main characters is a Christian girl who her morals kind of conflict with combat. So you have that point of view. You have females, so you get that women kind of like the chick flick thing, but we blow a lot of stuff up, and there are more guys in the show than actual girls. So it's still a very male. They'll see it and they'll appreciate it, and plenty of stuff gets blown up.
But I just think it's cool to concentrate on. We've already seen the guys and we see how macho they are and everything, but now we get to see the girls, and the girls aren't necessarily, hey, we're pretty and we can shoot guns kind of thing. There's a lot of drama going on.
Exactly. So kind of the plot goes, without giving too much away, my character, I work for the Air Force, and we have a mission that we require highly skilled pilots. We have great pilots in the Air Force, but we don't have time to train any pilots into the specific mission that we need. And so the Wing Girls, they aren't combat pilots. They are trained fighter pilots, but because of their morals, what they decided to do was either fly supply planes or be an aerialist. So these girls actually took the aerialist route because they love flying and they love maneuvering, and they're very good at what they do. So they're kind of like the female version of the Blue Angels.
Okay.
So instead they're doing air shows. Well, when the Air Force is in a position where they need these very skilled pilots, they decide to call in on the wing girls. That
interesting
is,
slant,
right?
Okay,
it is. And so we bring the wing girls in, and they don't quite understand what their mission is. And I'm not going to tell you what the mission is.
Because you should watch the show.
You're going to have to watch the show. But so when we bring the girls into the Air Force, not only are the girls get a lot of flack for being women, but we're hiring outside of our branch, which in the military, that's it's not too welcoming to bring Navy people to an Air Force
Causes some
base.
stress, is what they
exactly.
say. Yes.
And especially they're women, so the guys are kind of offended.
Right.
But regardless, the girls are there for a mission, which they don't quite understand what it is. So there's a lot of drama because of it. They've got their mission to deal with. They don't really know what they're there for. And yeah, they have to go in, and God, I wish I could tell you more about the plot. Would be
you know what? We'll learn more along the way. We'll kind of,
right.
if you don't mind, we'll kind of follow you along and keep everybody going on. I think it would be awesome if we had like a viewing party or something like that.
We should have a viewing party.
Yeah.
So we are set for an entire first season.
Okay.
And as we're filming, we go into filming in June and July here. And yeah, I can kind of take you along the way, but yeah, once it's aired. For sure.
Yeah. You didn't say, or if you did, I missed it. What network we can see this on?
I can't tell you that yet.
Okay. All right.
There's two major networks that are already kind of vying for it.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is, just like any film or TV shows, we're going to take it to the festivals and load it up with awards and shop for the best deal.
There you go.
But it will definitely be on a major network.
Okay. So we have to follow you along because we got to find out all this so that we can see it and things like that.
Exactly.
It's kind of exciting.
It's so exciting. So exciting. When I went out to meet this production company, how I got in touch with this TV show is the production company cast me for a couple other feature films. And I just went out to touch base with them, and when I got out there, they hadn't started filming this TV series yet. So I got off the plane, checked into my hotel room, went to the studio. They're like, oh, put the suit on. We're going to do some interviews. We're going to do some photos. And, so I'm like, I hit it right at the perfect time. And all the other cast members are so talented and so amazing. It's going to be such a great project. And, I'm not going to lie. At first, I thought, oh, a female fighter pilot, this is going to be kind of cheesy. And then I met with the director, and he told me the plot and the storyline, and I was blown away. It's going to be absolutely an amazing TV
There's
show.
so much potential drama. I
For sure.
personally like the fact that they went for the TV show because now they don't just lay it all out, get it done in an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Now they can look into the characters and find the drama within each of them and find the drama with each other. I mean, there's so many different ways that they can go with it.
Exactly.
That you get more than, I think you've got way more than a season because you got the stories, you got the drama, and
that would be the ideal thing. I'm crossing my fingers. Maybe turn it into Friends. Just keep going for 15
and
years.
Then the feature movie comes out.
Yes, actually,
it still could be a movie.
One of the films. I'm not sure how much I can speak about this, but one of the films that we're filming later on this year is actually similar. It's based in the 40s. It's on the women Air Force service pilots. So that it's kind of goes along the same line. So, maybe there's a new trend coming with Top Gun 2 coming out. You'll probably see, well, and I hope we kind of have the cap on the market with all of our stuff, but I think you're gonna start seeing some of that stuff again. And the plan with, our show and everything is, they're making like Barbie dolls of the characters.
I was just going to say, we got to get our Keely doll then.
Yes.
How would that be to see a doll of you?
That would be awesome. I can't
your kids
say.
Have one.
I work, my character, I'm Piper Poison Thomas. I work for the Air Force. I'm a colonel in the Air Force. And I'm the one who brings the girls in. So I'm not a wing girl per se. I do some training for them. So I'm not sure if I will have a doll. I might make a special request.
You're on the show.
But
look at it this way. Of all the dolls that have been made over the years, there's always A doll of everybody.
That's right. Maybe I can get a bobblehead.
Even Charlie's Angels. What was the dude that helped Charlie's Angels?
That's true.
He got a doll made.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hear that, Rob? I want a doll.
If not, I have the name of a company that will make a doll of you.
Yes.
It's like $100 and they'll make one of you. I've always thought about getting one made of me, but it'd be really hard to pull the pants down and see nothing there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would look odd to see a doll of myself anyway.
Completely. But what I think is so cool is, I have a 4-year-old daughter. And I've done some acting in my career that I'm not super proud. Like I don't really want my kids to see some of my earlier work, but now it's something that's going to be so inspiring to kids. And one thing I say in my interview that I have on YouTube for the actual show is that I don't think kids even realize you can be a fighter pilot. Just like people told me, like, hey, acting isn't a real career.
Yeah, we're getting back to that. They just, I think that a lot of people around them see the world as too small, and it's not.
Exactly. And, like little girls are going to grow up thinking like, oh, I want to be a fighter pilot when I grow up. So I think that's super cool.
I think that's a cool thing. And nowadays, I think with the world the way it is, I mean, my son, I looked up to a lot of women that were huge in my life. Mary Decker was huge when I was running. A lot of women have influenced my life. So I think we're at the point now where it's not just men that are influencing little boys. It's everybody influences everybody. Granted, women influence little girls because they see themselves projected to that. But I just think that you can inspire anybody now.
Completely. My last TV show was it was called AWF. It was the American Wrestling Federation. That's actually airing July 1st. It used to be on the CW, but now it is on a station near the city's KPTC or KSTC.
KSTP?
Yeah, okay. Maybe. I'll figure out before July 1st.
Yeah.
But
we can overdub so that your lips will move in the ring.
Perfect.
Make it like a Japanese overdub
no,
movie
for
or
sure.
something.
They should have stuck with the CW. I can remember that one. But what was really cool is when I was filming it, and we film mostly at live events, but some of it's scripted. I shouldn't say that. Wrestling is so real.
Wrestling is real.
Wrestling is real. But I got to bring my son. It's a family-friendly show, so I got to bring my son on set, and it just like blew him away. So then when we get back to Duluth, he's like, he wanted to bring me for show and tell. So I got to go to his class, and we brought some of the pictures of the TV show, and these little kids, like not just the girls, but the little boys were just like, oh my God, what? You can do this? So it was so cool to be like, yeah, you can do this. Like whatever you want to do, you can do this. So that's what I find just the absolute best thing about is my new show. Just anything where you can inspire small kids to like just broaden their horizons a little bit. You don't have to grow up to be a policeman or a doctor.
Yeah, there's lots of other things in the world.
Mom and Dad might say you should do that.
You should do that. You got to be a doctor. Do your kids influence some of the roles that you're taking?
For sure. Like I said, I definitely had to work up to where I can be choosier with my roles. But it didn't take too long. I've only been doing this professionally for about 2.5 years. So, before I would take as much paid work as I could. And especially if I, just for me to be able to work consistently as an actress, especially living in Duluth, Minnesota, I would take what I could get. To be able to survive for a good long time.
I'm sure now, that I guess what I'm getting after is even like I'm sure you can't be choosy, but you're not going to choose a role that might be compromising that you'll go, oh God, if they see this.
Yes, and for sure now every role that every script that I get, everything I read over, is definitely something that will make not just my kids proud, but Dad proud. I remember when I did my first Cadillac commercial. It's like, Dad, I didn't die. And because in every production, I'm the blonde girl who dies. And I didn't lose my shirt.
I can't remember who it was. I wish I could remember the actress's name. She said that she did this movie and she was so proud and she had a topless role in it. And she said it was consistent with the movie. That's why she decided to do it. And she looked good, so why not? But then she sat at the debut of the movie next to her dad.
Yeah.
And then she remembered, oh, God, I take my shirt off.
Yeah, I know. And, that's one thing that I have to face as an actress, because if you go to a theater, every single female lead, well, let's say 90% of the female leads have, a topless scene. And that's one thing right now that I've chose not to do. I do have a lot of female leads this year, and from now on, that's all I'll be doing. So I'm going to be presented with that option a lot. But that you can do like implied scenes, and that I'm okay with. But I can't say forever. Well, now I'll probably for never do that kind of stuff, because just who I am in general, I'm very shy and conservative. Well, in that sense,
right?
Modest. I'm modest.
I don't think it. I understand some of the roles. It has to be there.
Exactly.
It's consistent with the character or with the movie. But I would imagine that sometimes they just throw it in to see if you'll do it.
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah.
One film that I did, they for sure wanted to do that to get more attention and more sales, and that was strictly it.
Yeah.
And we ended up not shooting the scene, but it would have just been tossed in there for that reason.
I can't even imagine, because nobody's ever asked me to do a nude scene, nor would I even think about it.
Yes.
But I can't even imagine. I guess I would have to use the word embarrassment.
Yes.
I can't imagine having to do that. And because it's not just you and the camera.
True. And I did have one scene where it was implied, but it was kind of a heavy implied scene. And when there's a crew of 16 people surrounding you, it's not.
And it's not about them, because I'm sure they've gone, this is like the 100th actress I've seen this week. I'm all right with this,
And it's not. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, but it's just weird and awkward and unnatural. And really, I'm hoping that scene gets cut, because I must have been so weird and awkward.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. I can't even imagine working nude where nobody can see me on the radio. I mean, to me, that's embarrassing, and nobody can see me. So I can't. All right, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. So who are the actors and or actresses that someday they present you with the movie and they say, who do you want to work with? We will hire anybody you want in this movie. You tell us who you want to work with. Maybe like one actress and one actor, if you could.
Okay. She gets a lot of criticism, but I love Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
I love and I adore her characters, her roles, her philosophies, everything. So I would absolutely love to work with her. Actually, let me throw this out there. So remember how I was talking about my girlfriend author who just got published and was on The Doctors and everything? Paramount Studios is actually turning her story into a movie. So if you work it right, if I could choose, she has no hand in that the casting process, nor would I be like, hey, friend.
But you never know. What kind of deal did she sign for the movie? She might have some control.
She might, but that would be my dream role. So it's not a person or an actor, but it's a person who I admire that I would love to play her.
Okay.
And let's see, an actor.
Yeah, if you could work with like I said, they bring this movie to you and they say, this is what we're going to use to be your star movie, and you can pick any actor. Now remember, there may be a romantic scene. I'm just going to say kissing. I'm not going to say. Okay. So this is somebody that you have to be, we'll say intimate, because I don't want to say a sex scene.
Now I have to completely rethink my answer, because
that's why I wanted to put that in there. Okay, then let's go this route. An actor you'd like to work with, and an actor that you have to do, not a love scene, but be intimate with, kiss a little bit.
Oh man, I was.
And if it's the same actor, that's okay. But if you want to pick two different ones, like I'm just going to throw this out.
I feel like I need to phone a friend. This is a heavy decision here.
So I'm just going to throw this out. But let's say you like George Clooney, but you don't want to kiss him. That's okay.
True.
You can say him, but say somebody else.
Oh, I'm really, really awful with names.
Okay. You know what? If you just want to say the guy that's in such and such movie, that's okay too.
No, I got to think here.
Because I'll get to the bottom of it for you.
Who is all in the cast of Magic Mike?
All right, so
I'm
you'd
teasing,
like to kiss
teasing.
Channing Tatum then?
Yeah.
All right.
No. Actually, I was never the girl who had like celebrity boy crushes.
No,
so
but I'm just saying, like,
I'm trying to think.
you know, I don't know if you're at the point of your career that you've thought about that. Like, you've got here's this movie that's going to be all about Keely. So let's.
I haven't. I'm going to need a week to think about that.
Okay.
But I have to say, one of the films I'm doing later this year, I'm pretty dang excited over who is my co-star.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is like going to wind up being like 10 interviews, isn't it? Because
yeah, probably.
we're going to get to the second interview. Okay, I can tell you this, but I can't tell you that.
True. Exactly. Well, and it's funny because whenever you hear about a TV show or a movie, you hear about it, it was already filmed, a year or two ago. You don't start hearing about it until right before it's about to be released. So with me, and especially, my local friends and everything, especially if you're on my Facebook, you see things from the very first, as soon as I get cast, or even before I get cast when I'm auditioning. So the people that have been following me, my friends and my family, they're like, why haven't I seen your stuff yet? Why? And I'm like, because it takes like 2 or 3 years to come out. So that patience, I like really build it up, and then I make you wait forever.
But that's the way your business is, though.
It is.
I mean, it's like you know everything, and you're all excited, and then you do it, and then it's over with, and then everybody starts hearing about it, and by that time you're like,
I know.
I think that's why you see a lot of actors that they're just kind of like, yeah, I was in a movie about this, and, because it's 4 projects ago,
Exactly. I know.
And I think the same with musicians. I know I was reading a story about, or maybe it was a YouTube video, The Revolution, Prince's band. They said they were already working on Under the Cherry Moon and stuff after that when Purple Rain had made it already.
Wow, yeah.
And they were like, geez, we've already filmed Under the Cherry Moon, and we've already done 3 albums, and and this, okay.
Well, and actors and musicians, we're passionate people, so we're so passionate about what we're working on, and once we're done with it, like by the time you're done with the project, you're like, oh, thank God, on to the next thing.
Is a lot of it because you do put so much emotion into that, and then it's like, oh, thank you for being done.
Exactly. Well, and like with anybody who's super passionate or creative, it kind of goes like this, like, oh, I'm so excited, work so hard, because you put so much energy into it, and then you're like, oh, I'm done with that, like, on to the next thing, and then you get super excited again, and that's how it is for me.
My friend in New York kind of said the same thing. He says it's kind of like a funeral. You kind of work up to the emotion of it and having to see the family and everything, and then when it's over,
I would say it's an engagement, a marriage, honeymoon.
Yeah, but I mean, it's with all those major events, there is that ton of emotion.
Completely.
And there's the anticipation of the emotion, and actually with the emotion, and then when you're done with it, you're like, okay, there's other things to move on to.
Exactly, and it's really unique working in TV and film because rarely do you work with the same people. So you all get cast, nobody knows each other. You all show up on set, nobody knows each other. It's weird, it's awkward, and finally somebody starts talking, and you figure out who people are, and then you become family over the time that you're filming together. And then at the end, you're like, I'm never gonna see you again.
So do you? This is the part that's always intrigued me. When you are in something, that person has a certain personality on film.
Oh yeah,
and then they have their personality off film.
So
like you could be a real big B on screen, but you're obviously not.
Completely.
So sometimes do you get to know that person as that person first, and then you're like, I'm afraid to talk to them?
Kind of. I would say not really. You know the people more for their real personality. Because
so is it tough to see them like somebody that's just a pussycat in real life, and then all of a sudden they're like on screen? Is that hard to see, or
no?
Is there a part of you that kind of goes,
yeah,
she's funny, because I never would have thought of that?
Oh yeah, one scene that we were filming last year, we redid we did an urban version of Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay.
It's called Bunny and Clyde, and I played Bunny. And we were filming this one super dramatic scene where my girlfriend, her name is Amora. She is one to follow. She is so talented. She's a talented singer, actress, model. She's amazing, Amora. And
shameless plug for Amora.
You got it, Amora. I got you. And she, her and I were filming this one scene, and her boyfriend just got shot and died. And
boyfriend in the movie.
In the movie,
okay.
Yes. And we're crying. We're on the floor. Like this was her acting debut. This girl nailed it. Like she was my supporting. She took over. She should just be the lead in the film. And she was on the floor sobbing. And then the director says cut, and then we all start laughing and high-fiving because we're like, we nailed it. But, so like it's impossible for us on set to get caught up into that actor's character. Like we know them too well. We spend too much time.
But is there that part of you, like when they are totally different than what they normally are, there's that part of you that in the back of your head, even though you have this face on, there's that part in the back of your head, like, oh my God, are you funny? That is awesome. You are so mean.
Half of acting is holding back the giggles when you're in a scene because you're like, wow. Yeah, that's it is pretty funny. And my character, and actually my last show and in this one too, I play kind of a tough bee. You know, I'm not this giggly, funny personality like I am in real life. Right. And at first it was hard to play a character who's not well liked. And then it got easier. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
I would imagine being in the movies is sort of like radio, that even if you're the hated guy on the radio, because I know some of my friends they have to get on the radio and they're the guy that says everything inappropriate and they're the guy, but that's because the other person they're on the radio with is so incredibly nice. Completely. You have to have that, you know, they're not necessarily mean, but they're not afraid to say that.
Completely.
And then you meet them in real life and you're waiting for those things to come spewing out and they don't.
Yeah. You know? Oh, completely. Well, and I think I've heard Jim Carrey is kind of like that a little bit. I do have a great story about Sean William Scott. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Stifler, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my mother agent actually discovered him.
Okay.
And he's from Minnesota.
Yep.
Some place in Minnesota.
First of all, we'll tell everybody he's an American Pie and Dude, Where's My Car? Just so everybody knows. Okay.
Everybody should know Stifler. Well, when he was coming up, he was treated as a model. They were trying to market him as a model. He was this pretty boy, great personality.
I can see that. Yep.
He was not Stifler back then.
Right.
He was a pretty boy. And at the same time, Brad Pitt was kind of going for the same roles. So he kept losing all these roles to Brad Pitt, trying to play the pretty guy, you know? So then they decided to completely kind of re-market him a little bit, and they turned him into Stifler, and then all of a sudden he started getting
That's
these
all
roles.
he does now, yeah.
That's all he does. So you might be a little typecast for things.
But that happens a lot with a lot of actors.
It does. And for me especially, you know, I get that pretty blonde girl in every film, so I'm trying to pick more roles that are a little more diverse, that I can show, you know, I can play more than one character. But
well, if you need some help and you need to come on the radio and be a big bee, come on in, we'll film you, and then you can send that off, all right?
Yes. Those are the rules, you know.
And then we'll talk about you for like 2 weeks. She was terrible. Oh my God, you should see what she did to my, you know.
In the last TV show I was filming, the AWF, the American Wrestling Federation, my character, I played a very sweet girl next door. Everybody loved me. I was the golden child's girlfriend. Jaden Roller, he is the most loved character on AWF, and I played his girlfriend. And then there is some drama, and I end up going to the dark side, and we film events live. So the whole arena is watching you, and they watch me turn into this bad girl. And I had to do something. I don't think I can say what I did because it hasn't aired yet. But I turned to the dark side, let's just say. And I made kids cry. An 8-year-old girl called me a gold digger. I had 2 5-year-old little boys.
To me, that's a huge compliment because they totally believe who you are.
True.
And that's not who you are, you know?
I'm working on a thicker skin, but that killed me. Like,
I get that.
I had to go run and hide in my car before any more little kids came up to me crying. But then the next episode, after I finally turned to the dark side and I could embody this new character, it was super fun. It was super fun. But I don't want to play hated roles.
But I think in wrestling, people love to hate you.
Oh, for sure.
And everybody's hated,
and
even the good guy. People hate him because he's a good guy.
Well, and the guy who is the most hated character, he turns to me, he's like, Keely, those boos, that's your applause. So the more they're screaming at you, the more they're booing you, that is your applause, and you're getting a pretty big applause.
And I was just going to get back to my friend that's on the, I have, a few friends that have to play the bad guy, and he said, when people write letters and people call in telling me off, that's the biggest compliment they could give me, because now I'm believable.
True.
And there are going to be people that hate you. Like I said, people hate you because you're nice. That's just the way it is. So, I mean, look at Howard Stern, made a living for years, people hating him.
And now people love him.
Yeah.
Some people love him.
I have to say, I always hated him until I watched his movie. And then I was like, gosh, I've done that. Not necessarily the bad things, but throughout his career coming up, I've been in those same situations.
Oh, sure.
And so I don't necessarily have to like him, but I totally respect him now.
Yep.
And I think that he totally has found his market.
Completely.
And that doesn't happen often. So, well, Keely, I really appreciate you coming in here. And even though I called you Kristen to start,
we had too many conversations about what my maiden name was.
You can call me a different name anytime you want. But I would, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of follow you, so that I told you off air that the biggest reason I wanted to do this is not only to follow you and get you a fan base maybe in your hometown, but to show people that anybody can do whatever they want as long as you set your mind to it. You talked about all the training you had to do and everything. There's some work to this, and anybody that wants to do what they want to do has to work to get it. It doesn't just come to you. So I want people to see that, but I also want people to see, just because you grow up in Duluth doesn't mean you're going to stay in Duluth and you'll never be anything.
Exactly. And in my situation, my kids live here, so I am anchored here. And people, even people in the industry, told me, you have to move. You have to live in New York. You have to live in LA. You can't do it from here. And I just worked harder. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm noticed more being based out of the Midwest, because my face would get lost in New York or LA. So you can certainly do whatever you want to do.
Just do the work.
Just do the work.
Yep,
for sure.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time and coming in. And you are welcome anytime to come in on the morning show, or just come in and talk, or whatever you want to do.
Well, I did hear you have Keurig coffee, so
yes.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Every day you're like, oh, there's Keely again.
It's fine. Just get me a key.
We'll just give you like a Saturday shift.
Perfect.
And that
yes.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Chris.